Hello viewers, Super GT here. Today I bring you some gameplay of Trial Mountain. The legendary old school circuit returns to Gran Turismo 7. We're going to be driving it in the Alfa Romeo 155. We saw this car around this track in some of the trailers before the game was released. We're going to do the full course and the full course reverse, the two configurations available. First up, we'll do the normal way round. And just as a note, there is not rain available on this circuit. As I mentioned in my review, the only circuits with rain, well, none of them are in America, basically. And Trial Mountain is in the United States. Okay, first up, first race, starting P20. This is a Group 4 car. And therefore, I'm racing against a bunch of other Group 4 cars. Let's see how this is balanced within this group, as there's always those question marks regarding the balance of this kind of car, because it's not really a modern car. It's from 1993, and a lot of these other cars are sort of 2010 and after. So through the first section, up the hill into the tunnel, and then making a bit of contact with the Aston Martin on the right hand side there, over the crest, back down the hill into the 90 right. I'm going to go deep, just trying to find a way past the AI essentially. Corvette braking a little bit too much. Going to go past him quite easily. Then this corner here is quite a deceiving one. I actually think it's a little bit sharper than what it really looks as you go in. And then you've got this long left going on to the back straight. Now the two long straights on this circuit are longer than in previous versions of the game. The track has essentially been stretched out, and they've added about half a mile or so onto the overall track distance. Now you can see that the Alfa actually struggles in this group. It's got really good grip, is the first thing I've noticed. So around the corners it's actually very good. It's very planted. I don't really have to worry about braking traction on corner exit. It has a lot of grip in the corners, on the exit of the corners. It's on the straight lines, that's where this car is going to suffer and lose out. So the Corvette goes back past. We're going to go back up the inside here, down the hill, aiming to get our inside wheels into that yellow area. There's quite a big bright target zone to get your inside wheels into. Then this section here, this is quite an important section because it's completely different from the old versions. So now you have these sharper corners. Gone is the infamous big yeet chicane, which used to fling us into the Shadow Realm in the previous versions. Now we have these sharp corners, and to be fair, I think they're actually going to be very good for overtaking, and it just adds another overtaking opportunity onto the lap, I suppose. So into the first corner, just defending from the Corvette, showing it to the outside, trying to work out the track limits here. You can be fairly liberal, as you can see, taking two wheels onto the grass. So as long as you keep two on the blue and the white curb, then it seems as though it's okay. Through here, just trying to get inside wheels into that concrete area on the inside, actually making contact with a barrier on the inside through that turn. Through the downhill right-hander, through there just fine. Up behind the Ferrari, trying to pick a way through. And through this long right into the long left. I'm going to try and settle in behind. Get a little bit closer to the inside. There's a lot of dirt on the inside. I don't really think it affects your car. I don't think it's a problem to go down there, but it might seem initially weird for those who haven't really driven this version of the track. So, down the back straight, into the toe of the Ferrari, the two red Italian cars here, working in harmony. Isn't it just beautiful to see? Looking for that, there's a yellow sign on the right hand side of the track. I was using that as a braking marker into this left-hander. Very wide corner. And to be fair, the track is actually wider than what I remember in the past. So you can really, well, you really need to make the most of the track width if you want to be fast around here. Past the Lancer Evo, down the hill, up behind a brand new Group 4 car, the Suzuki Swift Sport. Not seen this in GT Sport at least. As we head down into the final sequence for the second time. I'm going to spot our braking marker, and you can use shadows of course, but let's not forget now that GT7 has dynamic time and therefore using shadows isn't always a sensible idea for your braking markers, as they're going to move about over the course of a race. So now into the toe of the Suzuki Swift. We've got a nice big gap behind as we cross the line to begin the third and final lap. Are we going to be able to get the move done here? We're going to show to the inside. The Suzuki brakes and can carry the speed through. And I think the AI are clearly quite slow through these first 3 corners. They really do take a lot of speed off, as we're going to go wide onto the grass. Not really where you want to go. I wasn't quite sure which side to try to overtake this Suzuki. Obviously opting for the incorrect side onto the grass. But we recover, and I don't really think that there's too much in the way of dirty tyres. On GT Sport you'd lose a lot of grip for maybe 3 or 4 corners after going onto the grass. But here, it didn't really feel like my tyres were really that affected. So we can continue at a decent speed. At this point here, up into 3rd place on the 3rd lap, but a long way behind the first 2. So we can really just try and perfect our lines here without having to worry about the AI for this final sector. So let's look for that marker. There it is, that yellow sign. Might be quite tricky to see. You see there, just getting as close as you can to that rock. I think that rock is your basically your apex. So get close to that, and then you're all good over this crest. And it's quite a tricky little section, this, because you're heading for this corner which you can't really see as you go over that crest. So it's quite a tricky little sequence. You have to try and work out some sort of reference as you head over that crest. And through the penultimate section, well, technically I suppose the penultimate corner is going to be this left-hander just coming up. We're not going to be able to catch up with 1st and 2nd unless they somehow do something miraculously wrong in the last moments of the race. Opening up this right-hander by taking a slower left-hander, I think, is the way forward to give you a better run onto this long straight. But we're going to finish the race in 3rd. I think it was a good fun race, starting 20th, moving up a fair amount of positions up into 3rd. And I've really enjoyed it. I think Trial Mountain is a really good track to have back in Gran Turismo. Very happy to see it. Of course, it would have been good to see a couple more, like Grand Valley Speedway and some of the special stages. A special stage of Route 5, I think especially, would have been great. But we're going to go again. Check out the reverse version. For this one, I changed the weather slightly. So, as you can see, it's a little bit darker, cloudier to begin with. And then, in the latter half of the race, it will clear up and be sunny. So you can just watch out for the dynamic weather here. And as I said at the beginning of the video, this track doesn't have any rain. So we can't program any dynamic weather as such, or any rain into this track. So really, it's just a case of learning the dry lines. There's not going to really be any wet lines to learn around here, unless hopefully maybe they add into an update one day. That could be something we could see in future updates, I suppose, that they add weather into certain circuits that don't already have it. I think that would be pretty cool to see, as well as seeing completely new tracks as well. So down this back straight, going past the Audi, but then you can see the other cars completely overhauling me, as I don't really have the straight line speed in this Alfa. Topping out here about 145, making contact with the car behind. I think that was the Audi. I think I just chopped across him inadvertently. Thankfully no one died. Up the inside of the Megane, mega lunge, and we're back into 13th. And here this Megane brakes a little bit early, chuck it up the inside. So sometimes this happens, the AI get a little bit clustered up with each other. And I think as well, when you get close to the AI, they start driving a little bit slower, a little bit weirder compared to when you're not anywhere near them. At least that seems to be the case when I check the relative gaps between them. So all over the grass, not an ideal line, going to cost me onto the straight. And you really need to get as much speed through that section as possible, as you're leading out onto this very long straight. And you can take it very quickly. It's actually quite an open section, those last couple of corners. Normally the first corner's on the correct way around the track. But of course we're doing the reverse version now. Up into 11th. through this sweet sequence, and again, that's going to be a really good overtaking opportunity into that chicane. So that, I think that chicane, yes, it's a shame that the old one is gone as we make contact with the BMW. Yes, it is a shame that the old school chicane is gone. You know, they've done the similar thing with Deep Forest where they've added the hairpin at the end of the lap. So it's clear that they want to add overtaking opportunities, and I think that is going to work, given there is a big, long braking zone, and that's normally a recipe for good overtaking. I think it's going to work. I think it should be. It should help us have better racing. But maybe it would be cool if they added the old school layout as well. It would be fun to do that too. Getting alongside the Megane here down the hill, and we're just going to force our way through. Try and maximise this track limit here. Maybe just do it a little bit too much there onto the straight. And I don't think we're going to get a penalty. I think we've just about got away with that one. So it was very close. Quite a tricky section, that last couple of corners there, because the left-hand section is a little bit blind. So you're kind of turning into an apex which you can't really see. And I quite like that challenge. A couple of those kind of corners on this track, so you do have to watch out for that. And it's actually a very good track to drive. I actually really like the challenge of Trial Mountain. Deep Forest as well, I've driven that a little bit. And I think both of them are remodeled really nicely into the modern generation of games. I think they've done a good job with it. I do question why they made the track longer, made the straights a lot longer, because the total distance of the circuit is definitely longer now than it was before. But perhaps that was just because they wanted to, again, to create better overtaking, and long straights with big braking zones tend to do that. So this corner here, this sequence, this right-hander into the tunnel, back out again into this left. I wasn't quite sure on the best lines through that sequence. I think what I did there wasn't a million miles away from the ideal line. But I'm sure could have perhaps pushed the out extremities of the track limits a little bit further and carried a bit more speed into the tunnel here. Perhaps turning in a little bit too late and not maximising the track limits once again. So down the hill, this is the tricky bit, I think, of the lap. It's also a crucial bit. Again, getting it all out of shape. Thankfully, we don't go into the back of them, and we can carry a lot of speed onto the main straight. And actually, maybe cutting the corner a little bit too much there, getting a 2-second penalty for track limits, and I think that was on the final apex, I believe, it looked like. So I'm going to have to serve 2 seconds before the end of the race. The leader is well within sight here, though, just 2 seconds ahead. So we do have a chance. It's going to be quite tricky, though, I think. But maybe a podium is possible, because we do have to serve this penalty at some point. So for those that aren't sure, in sport mode you still have to serve the penalties at the designated zone, and it will do it for you. You don't really have a choice. But it looks as though in the single player here, you just slow down whenever you want, and then the penalty time will go down, and you can do that anywhere. So past the Corvette, up into third, and getting closer and closer to the lead here. But it's going to be tricky. We do have this long straight here, and I do tend to lose out in this Alfa 155. It's a very nice car to drive, actually. The problem is the straight lines. I think it'll definitely benefit from some straight line speed tuning, some sort of RPM, high or mid RPM supercharger or something like that. Definitely make it a little bit quick on the straights. I did chop across that Corvette there, just testing if it will go round me or if it would brake, and it braked, which is what I was not hoping for. Sometimes it's nice that the AI actually tries to fight you back and goes round you. So in some senses you can abuse the AI to an extent, and hopefully Skynet doesn't listen to this, otherwise I'll be their first target when they take over the planet. Last couple of corners then, so it looks like I wasn't really able to catch up with the top two. I mean, I am close, but it's going to be quite tricky to get past both of them now, as we only have 2 corners left. Down the hill through the right hander, make sure we don't get another penalty. Having to just check up on the accelerator as the Aston Martin wasn't quite quick off that turn, and then we're going to have to brake here, serve this penalty just before the line, getting the job done. and finishing in third before getting absolutely sent to the Shadow Realm by that Megane. Absolutely incredible stuff. Finished that one in third as well as the first race, so 2 thirds from 20th, and a lot of fun actually. So there is a quick look at Trial Mountain. Thought I'd just bring you some gameplay of it in both directions, just to show you how the track plays and show you that new configuration of the final chicane, or the first chicane on the reverse circuit. But I do hope you enjoyed this one. Get yourself subscribed if you are new to the channel and you enjoyed this video. In the meantime, have yourself an amazing day. I shall catch you next time. Goodbye.